I think one of the most frustrating things that I've encountered in my advocacy in LGBT sports movements is the toxic mix of sexism and homophobia that keeps women in sports from being able to be true to themselves. Right now, we're in 2016, there's not one openly lesbian coach in Division I basketball. And that's an amazing statistic, given that people assume that there are lots of lesbians in women's sports. But the problem is that it's that, again, toxic mix of sexism and homophobia that keeps women coaches in the closet, because they're afraid that it will affect their ability to recruit athletes. They're afraid that parents of athletes will avoid that school. They're afraid if they have athletic directors who don't support them, that they'll lose their jobs. And after you've lived in that closet for a long time, I think Kate Fagan wrote a book about this. She's an ESPNW reporter who is a lesbian and also a former basketball player. And Kate wrote about coaches, older coaches who have been living in the closet for so many years that it's almost like that the secrecy becomes a coat that they wear all the time, no matter what the weather. And after a while, it's almost like that coat has become a skin, and they become incapable of taking it off and to be open for the young people on their team. And that's a tragic story, and it's also frustrating. But I understand it. I think it's that mix of sexism and homophobia that limits what women feel that they can do. And straight women, the same thing. It's much more difficult for them for that reason, the sexism and homophobia, to be better allies and advocates for their lesbian colleagues. I wrote a book called Strong Women, Deep Closets, Lesbians and Homophobia in Sport, where I did a lot of interviews with lesbian athletes and coaches, mostly in college, and let them tell their own stories. And I would like to believe that that book did two things. One, it educated people who didn't understand what it was like to be a lesbian athlete, and live with that shame and secrecy and fear. And the other part was that I wanted to empower lesbians who were living that experience to see that there could be something different. And it's really fun now because I'm an elder in the LGBT sports movement, if that's what we could call it. And I get to work with amazing young people who are following in my footsteps and are taking up the baton, as it were. I feel like in some ways I'm like in a relay race, and I've run my leg pretty much now, and now I'm passing the baton to some young people. And they are doing amazing things, and I still get to be a part of it. I still get to be a part of what they're doing, and sometimes we work together in an intergenerational team. And I love feeling like I still have something to offer, even though for me personally, I'm so far now from my own experience as an athlete in college or high school. And it gives me great hope for the future, because we never really go back. We have setbacks. Whether we're talking about women's rights or racial justice or LGBT rights, we have setbacks, but we never really go back. And I just feel like there are so many young people now in sports who openly identify as LGBT that they're going to change the world. Because one of the things I really see when I work with coaches now is that there's such a generational difference. Straight athletes are much more comfortable and welcoming of their LGBT teammates than their coaches are. And so there's a real generational shift happening. And I believe in the power of those young people to change their coaches and to create a better world for the young people that are coming behind them.